Hello, everyone. Today is the day for the chapter 5, Pharmacodynamics. In this chapter, we are going to understand about of course, pharmacodynamics, significance of receptor theory, what are blockers, what are agonists, what is the comparison between the therapeutic terms potency and efficacy, examples of drug diet, and the drug-disease interactions. Significance of cytochrome P450 isozyme enzyme systems, inducers, substrates, inhibitors, their effects on drug metabolism, and how the medical conditions can affect the drug response. So the first topic is the study of pharmacodynamics focuses on what the drugs do to the body. We're going to be understanding mechanism of drug action, how the drug exerts its effects, and it is affected by many different variables. What are the factors that influence the effectiveness of the drug therapy is, number one, the concentration of the administered drug. It depends upon the metabolic rate. Always it is very less in the children and the older patient, but the metabolic rate is quite normal in the adults. So if you take more concentration of the dose, the metabolic rate will be lower in the children and older patients. Then it depends upon frequency of the drug dosing. It depends upon the genetics. Food-drug interactions. When we say, it means rate of elimination. So let's say if a patient is a kidney disease patient, a liver disease patient, so what is their rate of elimination of the body? So that's how we will decide, will this drug be okay to give them or not? Drug-drug interactions. Two drugs, they can be interacted with each other for one person because he might be having some disease conditions in his body, but the other person might have no drug-drug interaction for that drug. So it depends upon, again, from body to body, and it is calculated by the half-life of the administered drug. Absorption rate, and then is the changing medical conditions, liver or the kidney disease. So these are all the factors that influence the effectiveness of the drug therapy. Next, drugs activate the specific receptors to produce a specific response. What is this receptor theory? Classic theory referring to the cellular mechanism by which most drugs can change the body processes. If we talk about the word agonist, agonists are like helpers. They are the drugs. They're capable of binding with the receptors and causing a cellular response. Let's say you go to any hospital, there is an information desk and there are some social workers, they are standing there. They will work like as an agonist. They will take you to the department where you want to go and then they will come back. So they are helping someone to finish their task. So that is the agonist. These are facilitators of the cellular action. When they are present in the bloodstream, agonists cause the tissue to respond, resulting in a therapeutic action. So if a person is going into the hospital, he don't know the way, he might lost the way and go from the longer way. They don't find the exact route where to go. So agonists are kind of those helpers which let them go to respond faster and results in the proper action. Opposite of that, they are the antagonists. Antagonists are the one who always give the wrong directions. We always blocks or inhibits. That's why they're called as the blockers or the inhibitors of the agonists. And that's why they're named as blockers. We have to really understand agonist and antagonist because in the coming few chapters from the next week, we will be talking, I will be saying this word, okay, this drug is an agonist. This drug is an antagonist. So we should know that agonist is what and antagonist is what. Cellular receptors. In this picture, they are telling you, just like we have a neurotransmitter hormone, and there is a receptor site. It's gonna go in. There is a particular space. It's kind of a lock and key hypothesis, like every lock has dimensions for a particular key to go in. So that's how all the receptor sites, they have the particular shapes to take somebody into them. So if the shape does not matches with that, they can go in. For example, agonist, look at the agonist shape. It's going into the receptor site, and antagonist, it's going to the receptor site. So the shape of the receptor is the same, but which gonna fit it, it depends upon what is the shape of the drug that's going to be fit into the receptor. Next is potency and efficacy. These are the two terms they're often used to describe the success of a drug therapy. Now, potency is a drug's strength at a certain concentration or the dose. And efficacy refers to the ability of a drug to produce a more intense response as its concentration is increased. So if I say, what is the Tylenol's potency and what is the Tylenol's efficacy? If we say the potency, we will say that, okay, this potency is what the strength is written on the bottle. If it's a 500 milligram tablet, that is its potency. But how much effect it can produce, how much drug would be good to produce the effect in the body? Might be one person is okay to take the drug only 250 milligrams and he is out of his headache. And the other person is again taking $1,000, like 2 extra strength tablets, and still he is saying, I am not getting relieved with the headache. So that is the ability of a drug to produce an intense response. Its concentration is increased, and it varies from a person to person. In pharmacotherapeutics, higher efficacy is generally more important than higher potency. We don't want potency more. We want efficacy more. We want that a smaller dose should work more. That's what we need always. This is the graph that is showing that if the drug is having a log dose of drug A and B, see the potency is the dotted line that is showing us for the same. So on the one side, it's the higher potency, and on the other side, it's the lower potency. Efficacy is increasing up and efficacy is increasing down, like it's horizontal and vertical they're explaining here. Next is drug interactions. It may be drug-drug interactions. I told you drug-diet interactions or drug-disease interactions. So when we say drug-drug interactions, the clinical response to the administration of several drugs different than the anticipated response when the drugs are given alone. So either they're additive or antagonistic. Very important to understand, if we add 2 drugs, they are increasing the effect. Let's say a person is not getting relieved with the Tylenol. So we can say, okay, you can add the Advil along with. So Advil will act as an analgesic as well as antipyretic, but the Tylenol will act only as the analgesic over there. So it is an additive effect. But if you add 2 drugs, you are saying one, you are taking the drug which causes constipation, and one is the other drug which is causing diarrhea. So though both are opposite, they both become antagonistic drugs. So it depends upon that we have to see if this drug is going to be an additive effect or the antagonistic effect. Next is medication factors, protein binding, small therapeutic window, effects on enzymes. Protein binding is very important. If the drug, I explained it in the previous some slides as well in the chapter, protein binding. If let's say any drug, it is bounded, so it is not free to go to reach to the target site. So protein binding is an important factor to see that is this drug going to be act on the target or not. Next is a small therapeutic window. Small therapeutic window means like, let's say a drug which is used as a only 0.5 milligram. So it means it is using in a very, very small dose, 0.5 milligram, and one another tablet, it is used minimum as 500 milligram. So I can say 0.5 milligram tablet must be having a very small therapeutic window to show its effect. Effects on enzymes, again, enzymes speed up the reactions. If there are no enzymes, the reaction will be slower down. Next is patient factors again, age, gender, and medical conditions. Age, according to age, we have to decide what dose we have to give it to the patient. Like older patient and the babies or the younger kids, they have to be taken the lesser dose for everything than the adults. In the gender, just like every levels, most of the levels of irons and the hemoglobins are more in the males than in the females. So the same way, sometimes there is an effect of change in the dose with the gender, but not for everything. More of they are dependent on the medical conditions. Like if the medical condition is too high, then we have to give a higher dose. If the medical condition is quite less, not that dangerous, then we can give the lesser dose. It depends upon that as well. Now, pharmacokinetic interactions can affect absorption or distribution when a drug interactions with another drug or the food is taken. For example, if a patient is taking a drug, he might be having an interaction with the grapefruit juice. So sometimes the doctors gives us the prescription, especially I will say digoxin, you're familiar with this name. So if you are taking digoxin, you are not allowed to take the grapefruit juice along with, because it causes the drug interactions with that. We will discuss later what are the drug interactions over there with everything. Pharmacodynamic interaction occurs with the drug's dynamics and altered during an interaction. Interactions may range in severity from mild to life-threatening. Let's say if a person is already taking a blood thinner and he don't know, he accidentally take the aspirin over the counter. So aspirin is also a blood thinner and he's already on a blood thinner like warfarin, that stuff. So it will be a kind of a drug-drug interaction, and it will be a life-threatening condition there. Next is the cytochrome P450 enzyme system is vital to the metabolism of the drugs, with the 3A4 enzyme being the most used enzyme. So what happens with the CYP3A4? This is the name of an enzyme which is very important in our body for metabolism. The pharmacokinetic drug interactions affecting metabolism occur when the same enzyme is used in the liver. Approximately 36% of the drugs are metabolized by the CYP3A4 isoenzyme. So leading to the high potential for interactions with the drugs that use this isozyme and altering the drug's effectiveness. Now, drugs may be substrates, they can be inducers, they can be inhibitors of cytochrome P450. How it affects. What happens if a drug is a substrate of CYP450? It will bind to an enzyme to be metabolized. Obviously, it is an inhibitor, it will block the activity. And if it's an inducer, it will increase the activity. So when we will read the drugs in the coming few chapters, we will see, oh, this drug is an inhibitor. So it means it is reducing the activity of the CYP450. This drug is an inducer. It is increasing the activity. So drug-food interactions with the substrates could decrease the metabolism, but if they're decreasing the metabolism, they will be increasing the drug concentration on the other side. Next is medical conditions and different diseases or disorders will affect the drug response. Now, if we talk about drug-disease interaction, I always say you that liver disease patient, kidney disease patient, or a heart disease patient, they would affect by the presence of diseases with the drug. So cardiovascular disease could affect the distribution, metabolism, excretion negatively. Active liver and kidney disease could cause an accumulation of the drugs as they're not broken down or excreted as readily. So there are some drugs, they're not good to give to the kidney patients, to liver patients, or the heart patients. So we have to be very careful with this drug disease interaction as well. Summary for this whole is pharmacodynamics, what the drugs do to the drug, receptor theory, potency and efficacy that describes the success of the drug therapy. Drugs interact with the other drugs, disease and medical conditions. CYP450 system in the liver metabolizes most drugs and can cause a decrease or buildup of drug in the body. This is all about the chapter. It is much detail in the book. Try to read, try to understand. If you don't understand, please let me know. I'm there to help you always. Thank you.